Good morning, everybody. How are you? A very, very warm welcome to a very windy, Hampshire, where I am at the moment. Welcome to Ask the Experts, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 to 9 a.m. to help small business. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments of the live feed. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage with it, and I will reveal the results at the end. So, morning, everybody. Again, my name is Sean Goldsmith. I am the co-founder of a company called Grow Global. Grow spelt G-R-O-E because we're very fancy around here. But we are an international franchising consultant, and our little catchphrase is that we help local, small companies go national and national companies go international. What we do is we help businesses from around the world. We're currently working in about 5 countries around the world with expanding their businesses through franchising. One of the best sort of scale initiatives that you can take on, but it's not for everybody. So on top of being a franchise consultant, I'm also a franchisor. So I run 3 different franchises within the franchising world and the pet sector. And, we've done this purposely, and why we work with companies on the franchising side of things is because we are franchisors and we do understand the franchising landscape. And we do feel that, that link and that, experience that we have from today, is very, very important when it comes to setting up modern franchises. And I say modern franchises in the sense that COVID has obviously changed a lot of things for a great many of us. So franchising and the landscape around franchising has fundamentally changed. The pivoting that has happened over the past year, the type of hybrid models that have appeared over the last year are really going to be the thing that pushes companies into the future. And as such, what we have done is we have been keeping a very, very close eye on all of these movements, adapted the company to make sure that we are fit and ready for modern franchising. So I also run a very large mastermind group here in the UK. We've got about 350 franchise networks that are represented within the mastermind group. And between those 350 companies, they probably represent somewhere in the region of about 20 to 25,000 small businesses. So over the past year and a bit, we have been working very closely together as a franchising network was Franchisors to solve all the problems that have been, sort of kicked up by the COVID pandemic. And it's been incredible. There's been everything from, just the operational challenges that we've all worked with together, all the way through to just the severe mental distress that has been caused, to franchisors and their franchisees going through all of this. And I'm very, very pleased to say that, as a community, the franchisors have really stuck together, more so than any other community that I've seen. And by the end of it, not only have we managed to get through it together, but also become very, very, very good friends. So, currently, if we're just talking about the franchising world, as I said before, the whole landscape has changed. COVID has forced a lot of companies to develop hybrid models, which are really sort of preparing them for any eventuality to come in the future. So as we all know, the perfect scenario for many, many businesses is going to be that we go back to our old ways. Shops, brick and mortar shops continue the way they were, restaurants, etc., all continue the way they were. But the reality is that has all changed. We've seen some incredible innovation from the restaurants industry, from the dark kitchen concepts where, a single restaurant will be putting out 3 or 4 different brands out the back door, effectively for delivery and the delivery model, all the way through to a number of different sort of companies, the gym sector, that are doing a great job just going online at the moment. But today, what we're going to be talking about is whether or not franchising is right for your business, whether or not franchising is something that is a viable option for you, and whether or not we can give you some pointers to give you an idea as to what the next steps might be in potentially franchising your business. So let me start here. Let's start with the definition of franchising, or at least what franchising and its purpose is. So franchising is a concept where you as a business are able to expand your reach, effectively a branch network. But what you do is you do that through a series of recruits where your branches are effectively run by entrepreneurs, right? So the beauty of franchising is that you're able to expand really, really rapidly with people who have a vested interest in the success of your brand, and also people who are physically paying for the privilege of being part of this network. Now, why would they pay for the privilege to be part of your network? Well, it's very, very simple, right? It's an acceleration of learning. So effectively what they're doing is they're coming and they're saying, right, instead of me wanting to go and develop my own brand, instead of me wanting to develop my own systems and processes, etc., I don't have time for that. What I do want to do is I want to buy into your brand, which is already established, which already has a good reputation, which is already out there. I want to sign up to your support, which gives me all of the systems and processes that I might need in order to rapidly accelerate my growth. I don't want to have to go and hire people or create these processes myself. What I prefer to do is actually just take your processes. And the other thing that it does is it allows somebody who's never worked in your industry before to very, very quickly get set up and get cracking with their business. So what franchising does is it gives you the opportunity as a franchisee to effectively set up your branch and compact that learning process dramatically compared to the original founder of that business. So many franchisors have been in business for 10 years, 20 years before they franchise. Some have only been in business for a year or two, but predominantly people have been in there for a few years. And they've gone through all the trials, they've gone through all the challenges, they've gone through all the problems that you may face. And the purpose of you as a franchisee joining with a franchise is so that you don't have to go through those problems. You don't have to face those problems by yourself if it does occur. And you've got a mentor and you've got a coach and you've got somebody who's looking at your numbers and all of those things, effectively as a business partner. So from the franchisor's point of view, what you get is you get somebody with a great vested interest in expanding your brand. You get somebody who is local, somebody who is involved in the community, somebody who really, really wants to build a business, and give themselves or their family the life that they've always wanted, which is very, very powerful. As a franchisor, though, what you are responsible for, what your obligations are, is to be able to provide that franchisee with all of the support that they need. Now, the interesting thing is that this is not just business support. So, and if it was, franchising would be very, very simple and everyone would be doing it. But no. So from the point of view where you are talking about the actual, the total support of a franchisee, a large proportion of that is just going to be, being a friend, being a confidant. You're going to be speaking to franchisees through troubles that they're having just personally. You're going to be helping them with, becoming good managers, because quite often what they haven't done is they haven't actually, run big teams before. So all of these things you are going to be sort of helping your franchisee with, which is absolutely brilliant, because again, this is all part of the growth process in the whole entrepreneurial journey. If it was black and white, it would be so much better, but it really isn't. So when you're supporting your franchisee, you are going through a whole process, right? So from the point where, as an example, they are launching their business, you're going to be teaching them how to launch the business. You're going to give them the tools and the marketing collateral in order to launch their business successfully. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting them through at least a 90-day intensive sort of support package, where, from the day this person launches, you're going to be there speaking to them every day, helping them, guiding them, telling them what not to do, which is really, really, really important part of what franchisors do, right? And once you've gone through that 90-day sort of process, there's another sort of big intensive support program where this person is going from the 90-day up until the 1-2 year mark, where really they're going to need you quite a lot, and you have to prepare yourself for that, because when you franchise your business, you cease being that thing that you founded, right? So, if you're going to franchise a lawn cutting business, right, you are no longer going to be the guy or the girl who pushes the lawnmower and mows lawn. What you then become is a business coach, and you become all of those other things, right? You're managing people and you're managing their growth. So when you sell your franchises, once you've got everything all set up, franchises can be sold for anything between sort of 2,000 and £300,000-400,000 for a franchise. Which is really, really good from the point of view of a franchisor, because it does mean that you're able to fund all of the extra work that you're going to be putting in, all the support that you're going to be putting in for the franchisee to make sure that they're successful. On top of that, what you also have is you have a royalty, or as we call it, a management service fee. So typically speaking, what a franchisor will be able to do is charge a 10% of turnover fee to the franchisee for the duration of their contract. This is such an important amount of money, because what it effectively does is it allows you to afford to support your franchisees properly. It allows you to go and get extra people, bring in extra experts, and do all of these things that you'd love to do, to help your franchise network grow and expand. Very, very important. And when you ever have a situation where franchisees are negotiating on the royalty fees, etc., the answer is just don't, because they're there for a reason. So you have your royalty fee, and then what you also have is you have a marketing fee, a national marketing fee. This is typical of most franchises in the UK at the moment. So on top of the 10%, there will also be a 2 to 2.5% marketing fee, which goes into national marketing. So this isn't local marketing. This isn't down on the ground type marketing. This is all brand building and national marketing. So what you're doing is you're elevating the brand, and whilst at the same time the franchisee is absolutely responsible for promoting the brand on a local basis. So you're basically hitting it from both ends, from the top down and from the bottom up. Brilliant. So listen, before I ramble on too long, I'm going to jump over to some questions, right? So the first question we have is from Erin from Facebook Messenger. I was looking into franchising my business before the pandemic, but decided to pause. In your opinion, how much has the environment changed because of the last year or so? Are there any new major considerations? Erin, to be honest with you, the amount of businesses at the moment that are franchising is pretty high. And the timing is actually quite good, because there are also a number of people that are out of work, or who will be out of work over the coming months and years. So in my opinion, the bounce back loans, etc., all of those have been a bit of a, they've been buying some time, and we've yet to see what the long-term results are, of this pandemic, especially now as we come out of things. But what is beautiful about the franchising world is it not only, when you're franchising your business, it's not only about, the ability to grow. What it does for you, especially if you work with a really good franchise sort of consultancy, is it also allows you to take a look at the processes within your own business and really, really streamline them, right? So it means that you're able to keep a much more compact head office, expand through franchising, but it really does take a big chunk of, when we work with clients, what we do is we analyze everything from start to finish. So, the amount of efficiencies that the business finds, for themselves to implement, is pretty major. So it's not a bad thing to look into. Any major considerations? The only thing that I would say at the moment is, nothing's a certainty. So what you have to do is you have to build your business based on uncertainty, which is brilliant. It's actually the best way to do it. If you are going to be franchising your business, I'm not sure what it is, but if it's sort of brick and mortar, if you're just planning on everybody coming back to the high street, then, that's not going to work. So you do need to kind of build it with that variance and variability in mind. Bree from Twitter DMs, I have a really small team, like 2 to 5 people. Is franchising an option for me? And if so, what should I be looking for? Bree, I tell you what, a great deal of franchisors have very small teams of between 2 and 5 people. I'm thinking about just a few. In fact, there's one franchise that I know that I think has 3 people in their head office, and they're managing a network of over 100 franchisees at the moment. So, again, the beauty of franchising is because systems are put in place, because everything is really, really sort of well outlined in the operations manuals. The training is really, really good. All of these things, what it allows you as a head office to do is keep your staffing very, very low compared to the number of franchisees that you have out there. So, whether or not it's an option for you, what I would say is that actually what you need to do is actually just speak to somebody and find out more about the business itself, because the size of your team is actually not necessarily the thing that's going to determine whether or not this is a good franchise or franchising is a good option for you. I hope that helps, Bree. Right, we have Damien on Instagram DMs. Great show, Sean. Thank you very much. Do you have any examples of franchise models that are doing it well right now? Who are the current leaders of the pack? Oh, the thing is, the guys that have been doing really well have been the guys who can work outdoors. Or who are essential workers, right? So, the domestic care sector has absolutely flown over the pandemic because, effectively, they have been a support service to the NHS, looking after the elderly in their homes, going in and out. I mean, these people have been angels, if I'm honest with you. I've heard so many stories of the care workers coming in, and even walking dogs. Just making sure that everything is okay, companions, etc. But a lot of the other franchises, where they have been taking care of gardens, anything outdoors has been doing, okay right now. I guess the worst hit sectors have been, obviously the catering and hospitality. The children's sector was pretty badly affected because, no village halls would allow franchises to work in them. The swimming pools were all shut down. But to be honest with you, that's given a lot of franchisors an opportunity to update systems that they hadn't looked at for years. So when we recently opened up again, I know just prior to that, most of the swim school franchises had waiting lists of over 2,000 children waiting to get into this swimming pools again. So I think outdoors and anything to do with sort of the care and supporting key workers has been doing really well. I hope that helps, Damien. Safa from Instagram DMs. Hey Sean, I think my business has reached the point where we should be able to start branching out, but finding it hard to find the right opportunities. Are there any specific events, forums, places, or network events you should be taking part in? Yes. So listen, there's the British Franchise Association has events all the time, online events where you can find out about it. There's also the AFA, which is the Alternative Franchise Association, and also the QFA, the Quality Franchise Association. All 3 of these organizations are pretty good at hosting events, telling you a little bit more about franchising and what it does. There's a number of companies that have been more than willing. I mean, to be honest with you, if you were to phone any franchisor and just ask them about their opinion, generally speaking, they're very, very, very open to sharing, and we've been more than pleased to help you with that kind of thing. Equally, feel free to contact me. I'll give my contact details afterwards. More than happy to chat to you about that. Right. We then have Lindsay from Instagram DMs. I have some experience building business plans, so I think I've got that down. Are there any major differences when building one for a franchise? Lindsay, probably the answer is yes. Because when you're building a business plan, or the projections at least, for many, many franchises, one of the key things is to keep things very, very simple. So when arranging finance for a franchisee, so this is apart from your actual business plan, when arranging finance for franchisees will go through quite a big process. But your business plan has to be written in a way that takes into account franchising. So this is one of the big parts of what franchise consultants should be doing, is working through your numbers, taking a look at what is important, taking a look at efficiencies that can be made, just purely because, you know, if you have any items in there that are unnecessary, or, you know, budgets are too high or too low, etc., it's really going to make a big impact on your franchisee. So what we tend to do with our business is we try and separate the entrepreneur from the franchisee to a large extent, because, you know, you need to remember that your business plan, what you have built and how you have built your business, has been organic. What you're doing with a franchisee is you are basically compacting all that information, and you're trying to rapidly get them to the point of where you are. Because that is actually the whole idea, is for them to reach your level and then exceed that, if at all possible. So yes, it does need to be different, but it's very difficult to explain in a forum like this how that what that looks like. So again, you know, honestly, if you've got any, you know, you can feel free to contact me, and you know, I'm happy to just give you some pointers and talk you around that point. Right, so let me just lift this up a little bit. Right, so Mira from Twitter DMs. I used to work in retail for a franchise, and all the shops had their own local media accounts that we got to run. When it comes to social media, do you think it should all be centralized, or is it a good idea to have a regional local account as well? This is a very interesting question, because it really depends on the franchise network. So I know that, you know, for many franchisors, you know, the social media side of things is a big problem. And the reason it's a big problem is because, you know, if you, and I'm just using this as an example just to kind of describe, you know, what the challenge is. But if you effectively have a situation where you have 20 franchisees, and 3 of those franchisees are actively kind of, you know, going out and promoting their business, etc. And then quite a big chunk of the guys, because they're busy or because, you know, because of various reasons, are very sporadic with their social media. You know, that's one thing that, you know, frustrates franchisors, where a centralized system makes a lot more sense. Equally, franchisors' obligation is to protect the brand, right? And protecting the brand is one of the most crucial elements of anything that you can do within franchising. So the big issue is basically, you know, sometimes what happens is franchisees will do things that are outside of brand guidelines, and unfortunately, with social media, you know, when the horse is bolted, it's bolted. So some franchisors are very sort of worried about that and keep everything close to their chest. But yeah, in you know, in a long sort of fangled way, Mira, the answer is sometimes it is good to have regional accounts, and other times it's very bad. Yeah, you know, if you have any more specific questions or comments about that, I'm more than happy to jump on it for you, and just contact me. Honestly, I'm more than happy to give advice. Gina from Facebook Messenger. Amazing advice, Sean. Really considering franchising. I'm aware of franchise fees, but are there any other fees or costs to consider before becoming or joining a franchise? Gina, yes, absolutely. So if you're joining as a franchisee, right, the one thing I would always say to you is make sure that you've got enough money initially. What's great about franchising is banks and financial institutions are very you know, pro franchising. So when it comes to you know, providing loans, etc., what they tend to do is the banks will tend to give so 70, 75, sometimes 80% of the total requirements in a loan to a franchisee. And that is because what they have is they have the reputation and also the track record of, you know, call it 20, 30, 40, sometimes a couple of thousand other franchisees. So they take that into account. So what that means is, as a franchisee, if you are looking to fund your business, what you're doing is you're getting a loan not only for the franchise fee, but also for the working capital that comes after that. So, you know, in terms of other costs, probably the biggest one and the most important one to consider is going to be that franchise, initial working capital. Other than that, as you mentioned, the franchise fees, I'm not sure if you mean the upfront fee. So you have the upfront fee. You also have the royalty fee, the management service fee, which is the 10% plus. And then lastly, what you also have is the management, the National Marketing Fund. Now, the National Marketing Fund is absolutely crucial again, because without that National Marketing Fund, your franchisor can't promote your brand on a macro level. So it's very important to take part in that. Other than that, supply chain, often franchisors will, put a margin on stuff that they send through. So for restaurants, etc., if they're sending through prepackaged chips or, fish or burgers or whatever it might be, they make money off of that. So you need to consider that. Some franchisors have technology fees. The technology fee, again, is an investment fee. So it basically, takes the total sort of funds from all of the franchisees to be able to invest in technology. So, there are a number of other things that could be considered, but equally, that should all be outlined to you. And when you speak to a franchisor, they should be giving you all of that information. But be very, very, don't be shy in asking. One of the things where some people get a bit surprised is, say, with gyms, right? So often with gyms, you have these key fobs, and those key fob prices can vary greatly. Ask about all costs when you're actually speaking to your franchisor. I hope that helps. Equally, if you want to contact me and just tell me what type of franchise that you are looking at, I know most of them. I've worked with many of them, so I should be able to give you pretty specific advice if you need it. Sean on Twitter DMs. I've already owned 2 businesses. I'm thinking of franchising them. Having never done this before, what are the first steps I should take, and how do I go about scaling up? Sean, very, very simple. What you need to do is you need to get hold of a decent franchise consultancy, because analyzing the business and what the next steps are, is it's very crucial to actually understand your business, and to understand what the business, what's its scalability is like. And also what the options are in terms of, how you actually scale it through franchising. So, I think process number 1 is get hold of somebody who can advise you. Again, there's many people. You can go into any of the franchise associations' websites and find, good people over there who can advise you. Equally, I'm more than happy to do that. If you want to contact me. But yeah, if you've got these 2 businesses, I'd probably either combine them if they're that kind of business, or just use one of them. But step number 1, speak to somebody who is very experienced in franchising, right? And whatever you do, don't just go for the cheapest guy or girl, because you get what you pay for very often. So that's probably my best advice on that. But anyway, guys, listen. So that's all from me. Oh, actually, I think we do have one last question over here from Reese. Which big franchise operating in the UK and internationally do you think are the best, and what can we learn from them? Oh, Reese, there's so many. The obvious ones are companies like McDonald's and KFC, the food and beverage companies. There's companies like Right at Home, which are international companies that are doing really well in the care sector. There are so many different companies that are doing an absolutely extraordinary job at the moment. It's very, very difficult, to be able to point one out. I think what we can learn from them is basically support. The better the support that you can provide for your franchisees, the better the network will do. And, during the pandemic, the most incredible thing happened where, a lot of franchisors were really worried about the reaction of their franchisees in terms of, how they would survive, etc. Honestly, what happened is, franchisors, many of them to their own detriment, rolled up their sleeves and they just got stuck in and they just chucked huge amounts of support. A lot of the big ones did a lot of work on this. I remember speaking to the head of McDonald's in South Africa, and he was saying that their operations manuals were already absolutely prepared for this type of eventuality. I think he described it as there was a different coding system for, if this craziness happens, or this craziness happens, follow these steps. And that was pretty much it, so they just opened up a manual and they took a look at it and that was how they dealt with it. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question. I think just the support structures, that these big franchisors have put in place. But honestly, I don't think that they did a better or worse job than the very smallest franchisors. I've been dealing with so many franchisors in the pet sector. In sectors where you wouldn't ever imagine. That they would be able to support their businesses so much, and yet they did. So anyway, listen, guys, just wanted to quickly jump onto the poll results. The poll results are in. We asked you, would you consider franchising your own business? 25% of you said yes, and 75% of you answered no, which is absolutely perfect. That is probably right on the mark. For some businesses, it just really isn't an option, and it can be very, very difficult. But I did want to thank you all for tuning in. If you want to get in contact with me, you can contact me at Sean, SEAN, at growglobal.com. So that's GROE global.com, GROE global.com, or just visit the website, www.growglobal.com. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Helen McGillivray, an experienced cognitive behavioral therapist and founder of Compass Therapy Limited. Tune in and to get advice on how to manage your mental well-being as we transition out of lockdown and return to the new normal. A reminder that if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts on hand 24/7. I've really enjoyed answering your questions this morning, and have a great day. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheerio.